Cooking again. Today is Sunday after Thanksgiving, and today we're doing protein. But I'm not going to talk about protein, I'm going to talk about water. But, just so that you know what's going on in here, I'm Dr. Monica Florez. I'm a pediatrician in South Florida since 2001. This is not a cooking show. This is a multitasking health education show. I need to go get my onions and my thyroid. So, I don't cook. When I was young, I could either do chores or study, and I chose to study. Hence, I went to school on a scholarship, became a pediatrician, have been working in South Florida since 2001. And over the last 10 years, I've been watching my patients despite my diligent trials, which just become more and more like internal medicine patients. Fatty liver, diabetes, autism rates increasing, ADHD, anxiety, you name it. It's basically like running an internal medicine clinic. And that just combined with my own personal health issues, my parents getting a little more unhealthy, and so I became started to just educate myself more on what's called longevity medicine, medicine to help you age well. And it was incredible how that correlates so much to keeping our children healthy. And so now I went full gorilla back in January. I had done some kind of healthy things and seen some results, always been like, that's healthy, eat healthy and exercise, that's what you tell the patients to do, eat healthy and exercise, but you don't really see results of it. And the reason that you don't see results of it is because in order to see results, you have to do a whole bunch of stuff. It's like, eat healthy and exercise for your individual cells. And here are the general rules, but your cells may have all their own rules whatsoever depending on your genetic makeup, your environment, your disease predisposition, etc., etc. So it's really hard, difficult to just make general rules for longevity. There are some, but it's very difficult. And so these are the general rules, and then my goal is to get you so excited about these general rules and start doing some of them and start seeing some of the results that then you start to think, okay, what do I need to do more of to make myself even healthier? Okay. So today we're working on proteins, and what we did today is with Costco. And here's the thing: when you're eating for health, it really works out well for me because you're not really eating to be like super bougie or amazing like taste or whatever. You're just eating to nourish yourselves. So basic foods that are healthy are good. So I don't need to become like a cordon bleu French chef or anything like that. They just have to be palatable and they can't poison me, either from my cooking or from the stuff that's inside of it. Then the other thing is I like to do the stuff up front. This is Sunday, so this will be food that will hopefully last me throughout the whole week. So I have, and maybe even next week, I had ground turkey, and I make my slices. So in the past, I used to use a lot of this stuff. Garlic, salt, things like that. And if it's backwards, it's not my fault, it's the video. I tried, it doesn't work. But now I just do my own spices, trying to use like the anti-inflammatory spices, and just like the seasonings depending on the pounds of meat that you're doing. So it's like thyme, oregano, curcumin, turmeric, those type of things with whatever taste that you like. If you like Italian, or if you like Indian, or if you like whatever, you can look for those kind of spice blends. And as I get forward and better at it, and they are palatable, I'll share them with you in the description. So this is turkey. This is beef. This one was organic. This was not organic, grass-fed, because I was at Costco today and I didn't have time. So whatever was there is what I got. And sometimes that happens. Sometimes I can get everything organic, grass-fed, wild-caught, and sometimes I can't. And so I just tell my gut bacteria to be happy that I'm healthier today than I was 9 months ago and stop complaining. This is the turkey now cooked, so this will be for the week. Already and done. I'm just going to leave it here. And then these that are not cooked, I'll put in the freezer for next time I don't have enough protein that I can grab something. it can cook. And what we'll do is we'll put it over there so you can see. And it's beef. And then I have 2 things of fish in the refrigerator too. And I do all the proteins because I didn't have any leftover proteins. And so pressure cooker is my friend, along with a food processor. And I like to do 1 pot because I don't like to wash. So in here's where I did the turkey, and now I'm doing chicken. And that's done for the protein. Oh, I'm going to do mushrooms. And then, let's see. Pull this out. So we're going to talk about water. Let's get to the nitty gritty of it, about why you're here, hydration. So we focus on eat healthy and exercise, and fruits and vegetables are important, proteins are important, and don't eat processed foods, and try to exercise, zone 2, walking, get lots of sunshine, avoid technology, and don't be so stressed out, lots of deep breathing. But water is one of the most important things, or hydration, I should say, is one of the most important things. And so the question is, how much, when, why, etc. And I'm going to kind of go through it for both the pediatric standpoint and adult standpoint as much as I can. And then I did also, if there are people who have questions, put them in the description, and I'll try to get to them later. If I can. So if there is, and I don't know, maybe I'm supposed to enable the chat. Is that what it is? Here, viewing, some messages may not be visible. Okay, I think I'll do it that way. All right, in case something comes up. So this is my shrimp. It's all done. We'll put him in here. So hydration, liquid. So our body obviously is made up of a ton of liquid. We are, if we cut ourselves open, we're not a solid thing. We are actually a liquid being, and therefore liquid is very, very important. When we're babies, really all we need is formula or mommy's breast milk. With mommy's breast milk means #1 top choice for health and development and everything. And if it doesn't happen, then, you know, thankfully there are now formulas that do a good job of trying to imitate as much as best as it can the breast milk. And that takes you until the year of 1 year of age. But at 6 months of age, you can actually start water. And usually I tell parents to start water. If kids like it, you know, if your kid is adventurous and they'll take whatever, then just stick it in a sippy cup and give it to them. If they spit it out and they look at you like, what are you doing, crazy person? Then you can, because you start solids also at 6 months of age, what you can do is you can put the water in whatever solid it is that you're giving them. So if you're giving them puree bananas, put like an ounce of water, make like a puree banana soup, and then use a spoon to spoon feed their water to them. And that will be a way for them to get used to it, because they have to get used to not just the fact that it's not flavored the same as milk, but they also have to get used to the fact that it is a different texture and consistency of milk. So they need to get used to both those things. So they may not take to it right away, but you do want to just continuously offer it to them so that they're eventually they go, okay, this lady's not going to stop, or this person's not going to stop. I'm going to have to drink this thing, and then they open their mouths and take it. So next is how much? How much for kids is usually 8 ounces per year of age, up to 64 ounces. So I don't know what this is. Lime, lemon. It's either going to be lime. Whatever that is, shrimp, or it's not. And then what else? We got, so 8 ounces per year of age, so maximum of 64 ounces. And that usually does you pretty well up until adulthood. Keep it in mind that if you have a kid who's like a fitness kid, like sports and things like that, you're going to have to want to give them a little bit more than that. Now, if you have a fitness kid who does recreational soccer and they play soccer for 45 minutes on Tuesdays, they do not need any sort of electrolyte solution. Just a little bit of water, extra glass before practice, glass during practice, and extra glass after practice should be more than enough. You don't need to buy them, and I am not, I'll go right now and just say it out loud, I am not a fan of Gatorade. There are better electrolyte solutions out there that we'll talk about. If you are a kid who does, soccer tournaments, football, all that other stuff, not obviously do you have to hydrate yourself differently, you also have to feed yourself differently. So we're just talking about like normal humans walking around, doing their zone 2, and we're not going to be talking about you guys who are, running marathons and doing dance competitions for 8 hours a day. That's totally different discussion. So if you saw me last week, these are where my portobello mushrooms, which I ate raw in my salad, and I survived. I wasn't a fan, but I survived. So those are done. All right, so then you get to adults. So now us adults, how much should we drink? We should drink the minimum of 64 ounces up to half of your body weight. So if you are 240 pounds, you may need 120 ounces of fluids. It doesn't all have to be water, it does have to be fluids. And that it can come with your water or without your water. Now, why? Before we get into which ones, I'm going to convince you why water is so important. Not only is it just part of your blood vessels and you need to have water in your blood, but if you think of camels, this is my best example, and there's lots and lots of examples of why water or fluids are important, but if you think of camels, they have these massive pumps on their back that are made of fat. And that fat holds on to water, so they're walking around in a desert, they can release that water and they can survive being out in the desert. So our body does that in a very similar way. When we are dehydrated, so if we are supposed to be drinking 64 ounces of water in a day, but we only get up to 24, we are inside our bodies chronically dehydrated. Our cells are kind of... So what our body does, it activates all these biochemical pathways that will actually make fat in order to have water that you can use during these episodes of starvation, of dehydration. So if you are not dehydrated, if you are drinking the water the way you're supposed to be drinking it, then your body isn't going to go into that kind of crisis mode, and it's going to just do its thing. And you will metabolize your food, and you will move the balance of muscle, bones, fat, etc., into a more healthy proportion. All right, so that's a huge reason of why water is such an important thing to have, along with healthy diet, exercise, and everything else. So every time you're like, I don't want to drink water, every time you go, and you should count it. You should count how much water, because if you're not, you think you're drinking a lot of water, but you may not be. So check the size of your thermoses. Each thermos are different sizes. So like, you have like these kind of thermoses here. This is small, this is 21 ounces, but this is 40 ounces. So I can just have 2 of these in a day to carry it. And obviously you're carrying this big thing, but then this one, if I need 80 ounces, I need to drink 4 of these in a day. So make sure that you know how many ounces is in there. I prefer the stainless steel. I did try glass, but then too much of a klutz. It all falls down. So I can't really do glass. Now, the next thing is what waters. So obviously, water is something that you can do. You can drink it from the tap, but if you want to be more on the health spectrum, moved over more, the better thing is either reverse osmosis or charcoal filtered There's a type of charcoal filter called a Berkey, and that is reported to be very good, and it sits on the table and things like that. But if you can afford a reverse osmosis water filtration system, then that would be great. I am not a fan of the water that comes from a plastic bottle. One, it's plastic. Two, it's expensive. Three, I'm contaminated earth with a whole bunch of plastic. So unless for an emergency, things like that, I personally prefer to have the water come from my home, be filtered, go into a thermos that I can reuse, and I feel like I'm not promoting the Earth's demise. To be dramatic. So we're done there. Next, what's next? There are a couple of no's in my life, and obviously it's never like completely no, but for the most part, 90% of the time, it can be a no on juice. No juice. No juice for little kids. Yes, I know that on the nutrition things and things like that, they say that juice is a fruit serving. To me, that's incorrect information. So fruit, when you think about fruit, you have skin, you have seeds, you have pulp, you have a mass. And then that mass gets chewed up in your mouth. Those chewed up particles then get swallowed, and then they're put into your tummy, and your tummy takes those chewed up particles and absorbs the nutrition from that, including the sugar, the glucose. Juices, depending on which ones you get, if you get like a Capri Sun, you're probably getting fructose in there. And that one doesn't even tell you you're full. That one you just can keep eating, and it doesn't even give the signal to your brain that you're full. And so you just keep drinking juice. Then the other one, if you just have like nice, organic, all natural apple juice or whatever, what happened to the pulp? Where's the fiber? The fiber is what your gut bacteria like. And so you're only giving them juice. Now for kids, if they're drinking juice, they got this cup, under their arm all day long, sipping on juice. And what's that doing? It's giving them glucose. It's giving them a little dopamine hit of, yay, you're good. And it's filling them up. And so my kid doesn't want to eat. Yeah, your kid doesn't want to eat. They're drinking 16 ounces of juice in a day. Of course they don't want to eat. So no juice. And then for us, we put juices usually at night, in our cocktails and things like that. And those juices, again, depending on which ones you're getting, you're more than likely getting a bunch of extra sugar, spiking the sugar that's already going to spike with alcohol. So if you can, try not to do that. And some people find water boring. So when I love water, so it was easy for me to drink it. But when I started to be healthier and to drink the amounts that I needed to drink to be healthy, and then I stopped drinking my juice at night, then it became boring. Like by the time you're drinking 80 ounces of water, you're like, I gotta have something else. So I started to drink infusions. My favorite, I did just limes and lemons. Just take limes and lemons and keep that juice in the refrigerator. The natural limes and lemons, add it to your water. Ginger, I take ginger and I chop it up into the food processor, add water to it, and then with that water, keep that. It's really spicy. It's almost like spicy margarita. And then that, depending on how much spice you want, you either add water to it or you add lime to it. And then ginger is really anti-inflammatory. And this weekend I was in Tennessee where it was cold, so I stuck it and I warmed it up in the morning, and it was delicious. It was a nice warm kind of like, I guess it's a ginger tea, and it kept me nice and warm when I was driving Izzy to the airport. So that's an option. We also tried a cranberry infusion where we did cranberries, 4 cups of water, natural cranberries, boiled them for 10 minutes, and then filtered it, mushed them up a little bit, filtered it, and that was delicious. You can do cucumbers, so this is like the spa waters. You could do basil, you can do mint, you can grow it your own if you're like mine. or you can just buy it from the store. And infusions are a great way to get fluid, to get a little bit of flavor, and to get some of that water without getting that extra juice in there. Next is, so we said no juice. My other no is sodas. So no sodas. No Sprite, no Coca-Cola, no Diet Coke, no Coke Zero, none of those, right? One, it's just sugar. Oh, but I don't do sugar. I'm doing the Coke Zero. It says 0 calories and there's no glucose. Then you're giving yourself some like funky sugar, chemical, who knows what that is. Or you're doing stevia or one of those, and that in some people causes either same or similar sugar spikes. So before you kind of say, oh, I do stevia, I do monk fruit, I do honey, wear a continuous glucose monitor and see if when you drink that, does it spike your sugar similar to or at the same level as when we were doing the other ones. So usually, if you guys are huge fans, you know that I usually do a food processor and then I just chop up my veggies and then go from there. But this week, Costco had no vegetables, none, and I was going to 2 different stores. I was too exhausted. So we're gonna just do the spinach that I have from the house, some leftover carrots, and then the chopped kit. And when I do the chopped kit, I just don't use the salad dressing. So we said no soda. Seltzer water is not bad. That like the Perrier or whatever that bougie people drink. I'm not a fan of like carbonation in my water. This one, I like green. This stuff. It's not bad. I mean, I had it. Sparkling mineral water. Not for kids, please. Adults if you want it. But the babies, and little kids, 1 year and 2 years, all they need is water. They're only drinking 4 or 8 ounces a day. You don't have to just allow them to enjoy the taste of it. So sodas, we talked about why they were unhealthy. Alcohol is not considered. If anybody's out there listening, oh, she said 64 ounces, 8 ounces of that will be beer. No, alcohol is not considered one of the fluids that is healthy, so not that. Infusions, we talked about herbal teas. Back to carbonation. Be careful with carbonation, especially people who maybe have issues with their tummy already. Carbonated things obviously kind of cause bubbles in your tummy, and so that can cause issues and cause bloating, so just be careful with that. Did I turn it off? So, I'm done with that. I'm always trying to burn down the house, so I'll have to be careful. I got it. Alright. Did that. How many is this? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, if you're doing that, infusions, teas, herbal teas. So if you like teas, you can do that. Just be careful which teas you do. Some of the teas have other medicinal properties. Be careful how much you do of teas. Green tea, those kind of teas can have caffeine in them. Be careful where you're getting those teas from, what your source is. If the thing is, it's coming in a little box and a bag, you don't know what's in there. So making sure that you look at the brands and also trying to get those so that they are organic also is probably not a bad idea. Broths. So there is just a chicken broth, beef broth, vegetable broth. Try it again. You're going to look for organic. This one's bone broth that I got. So I'm going more towards the bone broth because the bone broth has more fats and collagen and kind of satiation, basically healthiness stuff to it, but it is more difficult to digest. So if you're new and you're just drinking things, it's also kind of boring. I mean, there's really no flavor in that. So you can add in a little bit of garlic or add in a little bit of fruits, veggies to add into that. What I do with it is I cook my meats in it. making when I'm cooking. If I'm gonna make my chickpea, like my bonza pasta, okay, all Italian grandmother, close your ears. I cook it in this. So I cook the pasta in this to soften it up, and that allows it to absorb some of those nutrients in my mind, and hopefully I'm getting them in there. And then that pasta is even going to become more nutritious. That's especially good for like little kids who have children with autism who maybe have food restrictions and they want to only eat mac and cheese. So slowly start to take out some of the pasta and sub in the healthier versions of food. All right, so we talked about water, teas, infusions, broths, electrolyte solutions. Drip Drop IV is one of them. I always forget the name of it. Let me look it up. LMNT, something like that, is another one that comes up a lot. Yeah, LMNT, electrolytes. There is an organic Pedialyte out there now for when you're doing like rehydration due to being out in the tummy bug, nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, that kind of rehydration stuff. So it's interesting. Let's see. This is important. Try to drink the first third of your water in the morning when you first wake up. Try to get that large, not in like a big gulp, but in that first 2 hours of your water. You don't want, just like exercise, you don't want to just be like, I'm going to exercise 1 hour a week and because I'm supposed to do 20 minutes a day. No, it really means 20 minutes a day, and maybe when you start, you want to move up more from that, and maybe you want to do 10 minutes in the morning and 10 minutes at night. Your body likes to do things frequently in small amounts throughout the day. So try to do that, those first 30 ounces or so in the first couple of hours. And then obviously try to stop and finish an hour or so before bed so that when you go to bed, you're not going to have to wake up to pee. The other thing that people talk about a lot is milk. So I used to be very anti-milk. I would tell my patients and my parents, at 2 years of old age, you don't need milk anymore. Milk is very inflammatory. If you don't need it, you can get your nutrition from your calcium, your vitamin D from other places. But now they have these newer versions, more healthy versions of milk that are out there. And there's a physician who does really longevity medicine for a longer time than I have. And she just put out a nice talk, so if you want to listen to it, it's Dr. Yurth. She goes through all the milks. But I was so happy that she agrees that the A2 organic, if you can find it with the grass-fed, whole milk, not low fat, is probably your best bet for milk. But again, with limitations. You don't need to be drinking 32 ounces, in my opinion, one serving, 4 to 8 ounces, depending on what you're doing and how much you're doing as far as exercise and movement and things like that. And that milk, don't know if it comes in a lactose-free, but many people who are lactose intolerant can still tolerate small amounts of that milk because the A2 protein, which is the casein, which is the protein part of that milk, is not as inflammatory. The other reason that you don't want to drink a lot of it is because it's like almost $8 for half a gallon. So it will stop you from drinking too much of that because it's too expensive. So you will just be like, oh, I just need 4 ounces before bed. A little bit of milk before bed for little kiddos and older adults, especially people who tend to wake up because of drop in blood sugar around 1 to 3 o'clock in the morning. You may want to try a little bit of a glass of milk before bed, and that sometimes will help you fall asleep. So that in a nutshell, I'm going to now clean my veggies and put everything away, is really what the reason that you want to drink, and you want to make sure that part of your focus when you move towards health is making sure that you drink enough water. That you don't want to turn into a camel, you don't want to store fat, you want to maintain hydration, and you want to make sure that the hydration that you maintain is low or no sugar and is drank throughout the day. And it's okay to be other things other than water, as long as those things are healthy. All right, hopefully this helped. If you have any questions, once this is up, put it in the description and I'd be happy to address them. Thanks, have a good day.
don't know how to stop. Ah, there it is.